on Twitter. Okay. So I don't know if as many people are going to see this because I have been making these videos unlisted so that way people's like recommendations um don't get flooded with like notifications and stuff for book club because I wonder if it like messes up my views for videos. But yeah, I hope people still come. I really like reading the comments and stuff like that. To start us off, uh, in case anyone is watching, um, Saber, do you want to like plug your channel a little bit or like just talk about it? Talk about your new video? Yeah, it was really awesome. And there was also this really cool mention of like black steampunk. Didn't even know that was a thing. It was super cool. Um so yeah, there's like I don't know, like a lot of good stuff in there. I feel like there's like all these like themes of like things that I mean it's steampunk, so it's not the same as like Afrofuturism, but like there's just like these all these like creative like sci-fi ways that like black creators come up, which for me is like really cool. Like I like want to read all those books. Um and like getting that also like with history, and so it's makes a very interesting theme, sets a very interesting tone, so check that out. Also Kanessa or Curse Queen has a video where they sometimes like talk about video games and stuff like that. I know you haven't posted in a while, but I still just want to give it a mention. um but yeah, let's just dive right in. So today we're doing chapter 7 of Ujamaa, and let me share my screen. So again, this is kind of just the same stuff that we've been. I kind of, I kind of wish that he just would write one big essay or something, or just like one book, um, because it is a little bit repetitive. So I'm gonna try to get by the repetitive parts and just go through that really fast because we've talked a lot about this. So, okay, the traditional African family lived according to Ujamaa. Though the division of labor was unequal, the joint labor is a property family would of the family as a whole, or the joint labor was a property of the family as a whole. He gives us three principles of life. The first principle is respect, which is a recognition of mutual involvement with one another and may or may not involve any affection deeper than that of familiarity. So the way that he describes respect is basically like it's a principle that you have rather than having to, because like you respect the people that you love and know, but he's kind of saying that there's a respect that you have in general for the mutual involvement in one another. The second principle is property. All the basic goods were held, or in the context of Ujamaa, all the basic goods were held in common and shared among all members of the unit. No one could go hungry while others hoarded food. And the third principle was everyone has an obligation to work. He does, at other points or at other essays, exclude elderly people or people who are disabled and can't perform certain tasks. So before moving on, is there anything that people might want to add? Yeah, I think there's like a way, and I can't speak for like every like society or heritage of people, but I think there's a way where whenever I look at indigenous groups, even if there are things divided by gender roles, there's still a lot of equity. And like, I mean, there's exceptions to this, of course, but like, people are, I think like the point is like people are generally happy, and there tends to be like, not always, but there tends to be space for people to kind of like flip flop, if you happen to be a woman who wants to do X, Y, and Z, like you can. But I'm just thinking of like indigenous people that I've um just like looked into, so I can't speak for every indigenous group, but I did notice that because I thought that was really interesting compared to our society, where like, I think of gender roles as being like just oppressive for everyone. Like when I think like, now, but also like when I think of like the 1950s of this like extreme where like you have like a housewife who's like really bored, and then also the husband's like going to work and is like being like, I'm doing all the work. Like everyone hates it. And when I think about gender roles in indigenous societies, I think of people generally being happy. Um, yeah, so I don't know. There's a way. Yeah, I don't. That's what I thought of when he was talking about that. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, totally. Also, hey, Marky Marks. Oh, that happened last time too, and I was like, hi, and then they left. Um. Okay. Uh. So let me see if there's any comments. No. Um. Yeah, totally. Yeah. The fact that everyone just gets to have their basic needs met and everyone's gonna be okay, I think is like really, um, really important. I think he uses the word social security at one point, and sorry, I was just messaging Clark and BP seeing if they're coming, but I think that he uses the word social security, which because like we have that word, but then I just think of like just like the Social Security Act, and that's it. And so like thinking that these societies actually entirely have Social Security is just like, oh wow. And I'm like, wow, our society should do that. Like our society should be around like, giving people resources they need to live. Which like I remember thinking as a kid, and then my parents would get angry and be like, that's socialism. And I'd be like, oh, well, like I don't understand why it's bad. Um, Anything else before we move on? All right. So he says he has to correct society's shortcomings, and that's a mixture of taking tradition and also adapting. Um, no one likes to be exploited, but all of us are tempted by opportunities to exploit. I thought I underlined that because I thought that was very true. He also talks about that starts talking about farming in urban centers more, which is when I wanted to focus on a bit more. So he says urban centers have grown. Oh, there's a belief that you'll be happier in towns, but he kind of talks about how rural people are happier. And I guess we can take a look at this because I kind of thought this was like interesting. I don't, I mean, he might have not said happier. I think he's like also talking about money. So this is on page 111. It says, most of all, there's an almost universal belief that life in towns is more comfortable and more secure, that the rewards of work are better in the urban areas, and that people in the rural parts of the country are condemned to poverty and insecurity their whole lives. And I'm going to skip down a little bit. The vast majority, even of our town dwellers, live extremely poorly, and in most cases, they are on the whole worse off, both materially and in the realm of personal satisfaction than the people in the rural areas could be. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Like, I don't know obviously enough about Tanzania, and I've never been there, especially in this particular time. But I know he like really wants to encourage people to be farmers. So like, there's part of me where I'm like, wait, are you just saying this because you want everyone to farm? But then also, I do really wonder if like rural life is like just happier, and so I just thought that was interesting. Any thoughts on that? Oh, wait, so we said that last part again, like hiring more people. Yeah, totally. Hey BP, I just want to catch you up a little bit before we continue. So, we're talking about we're focusing right now on like farms. On this chapter like really focuses like on farming and what to do about that. So, like I also just give like a little bit of a rundown, but basically he talks about how farms like individuals own farms, but Nyerere believes that people should start to like put their farms together so that way people cooperate rather than work in competition. Because if you have a single farm and you want to expand your farm, you eventually going to have to hire workers, and having workers is exploitative. But he believes that you should basically just work together, and then your community that you're in will have farms, and then basically you'll just be happy because you're like creating a community with people. That's kind of the rundown of it, just so that way there's some context in case you didn't weren't able to finish all the reading and stuff. But hopefully that'll make sense as we go. And then also, hello, did I say that Arachobia, or is it Arachobia? I was wondering. Okay, well, welcome. Really fast. I know this is like in the middle of book club, but BP Arachobia, do you want to give introduce yourself, say pronouns, and just say like a quick hi or something about yourself? Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Also, with this book, each essay is a chapter. I think I might have mentioned that, but so you don't have to worry too much about catching up. But it's also just nice to have people here, so it's okay if you don't do the reading. BP, do you want to say a little something about yourself? Oh, okay. Yeah. Saber lives in the UK, so definitely different time zones there too. Um, mhm. Oh, Clark's here. Yay! We got a full squad today. Um, cool. Well, thanks, Arachobia. Um, Villainous, do you want to give a little bit about just like a hello and like name and pronouns? To be clear, for pronouns, like there's it's just BP. Wait, talk about the video that you're working on really fast. Mm-hmm. If you want, I know it's really heavy. Yeah, I think it's really incredible that you're making that. And are you putting that on your YouTube channel? Yeah, totally. Um, yeah, I think it's awesome that you're doing that. So, I'll try to drop a link in the description for your channel. But yeah, anyone here, check out BP's channel. Um, Clark, I just want to give you the rundown of what we're talking about in case did you do the reading? Okay, I'll just give you a rundown. So basically, we're talking about farms right now, and so Nyerere is saying that like we need to instead of having individual farms that compete and exploit workers, to just join your farms together and then like make a community out of those farms. And he's also saying like you'll be happier if you do that. So that's basically it in short. So I think that that's enough context for like when I say my notes, it'll hopefully make sense. It'll hopefully have be enough context. Um, so I think what Jeremy said is actually a great segue into the next part, um, which is that farmers tend to work as individuals and in competition, not cooperation with each other. He gives examples of how hiring workers is exploitative, which is very, I think, self-explanatory for us at this point, where it's like, if you're going to be paying, you're not going to be paying the workers the value of their labor, and so that's exploitative. Um, and then he talks about how the person who's exploiting people progresses very fast and with increasing speed, and others are receiving less than they would receive if they, let's say, worked on their own account. I believe I meant to say that, but um, yeah. Any thoughts on that? Okay, cool. And then next is the country will be. So he talks about how the country is going to be predominantly a peasant population, um, and at this point, or so the countryside must be built up in a way that raises the standard of living. And so I think for me, like the word peasant, I always think of like it having like a not standard of living, good standard of living. But I think it's just like a, because I feel like I see this word all the time in like socialist texts. Like I think it's just like farmers and those kinds of people. But he like emphasizes that they're basically people need to farm, but how and how like the massive populations are probably going to be farmers, but like how to have like, a good quality of life. So I actually really like this chapter because he talks about like, oh, we need a farm, but we also don't have like high technology to do like mass producing farm. And in this chapter, he really lays out like how are we going to make these farming communities, and I really like that he lays it out. So I thought it was really interesting. Um, so the first thing is there must be an efficient democratic system of local government so that our people their own decisions on things that affect them directly. Um, any thoughts on that? And that's on page 119. We can also read some quotes, but yeah. He also says there must be. Oh wait, Jim, are you gonna say something? Hmm. Wow. Yeah. So is that something that you just like? Is there like a source that you have on that that we can read, or is that just something that just like makes sense because of like this kind of setup or things how things were set up? Okay, cool. Well, we should put that book on our like reading list and see if you. Yeah, totally. That's awesome. Um. So yeah, I want. Is there anything else before we move on to some other examples? All right. Oh, this was. I thought this was a good quote. So, oh my gosh, is it 120 or 121? It's people can be made together. Oh, so like people can be made to work or people can work. And I thought that was really interesting. So it's like on 120, I'm going to read it out loud. And there are only two methods by which this can be done. People can be made to work together or they can work together. We can be made to work together by and for the benefit of a slave owner or by and for the profit of a capitalist. Alternatively, we can work together voluntarily for our own benefit. We shall achieve the goals we in this country have set ourselves in the space of Tanzania. Tanzanian life consists of rural, economic, and social communities where people live together and work together for the good of all, in which are interlocked so that all of the different communities also work together in cooperation for the common good of the nation as a whole. So I thought that was I really liked how he put that. Like we're gonna work one way or another, and you can either be forced to or you can do it out of just like this common good for all. So any thoughts on that? Okay. Well, we are moving. Oh, on. So the next one is the dominant quality is cooperation, not competition. Um, which he's talked a lot about before. So in 121 is different because its dominant characteristic would be cooperation, not competition, and its criteria for individual success would be good service, not the accumulation of private property. The question is how we can organize our activities now so as to eventually reach this goal, which I'm I don't know. I thought that was really fascinating to look at. So he says that most um, farming communities each would need a manager for supervision. Um, and let's take a look at that quote. So this is 125. Obviously, such community activities would need to be organized, would need to have a manager responsible for the allocation of tasks and supervision. There would need to be a treasurer responsible for the money earned in its administration and a governing committee, which is able to take executive decisions in between general meetings. But all these people could come from among the community and must do so if it is to be a real socialist unit. They would be members of the community, not outsiders. Although at the beginning there may be an advantage in attaching to such schemes some technical and other advisors if the right kind of expert could be found. Such groups are possible in Tanzania. Indeed, a few already exist. There's no need to wait for the government to organize them and give all the instructions. So I thought this was a very interesting thing to hear, like in practice, like having a manager, but then like he always makes sure to say like they only have like they're only there if they're a part of the community. So like there's like this like need, and they're there to represent the community. So yeah. And BP, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on this as an anarchist. So I don't know, and of course anyone else's thoughts as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, does anyone else have anything they want to add to that? Yeah. Yeah, that was what I was. I think that's why I was like curious about BP was thinking as an anarchist, because when I'm like, this all sounds really great, and also I am really worried that capitalist behavior is gonna just, you know, work its way back in, like with having a manager or something like that. But there is also a way where like he leaves it very vague, so that the communities can decide what that's gonna be. So there's like a way where I'm like, I like that he's not like saying like you have to do exactly this. But yeah, I also am like worried about like the structure, those structures kind of continuing at those individual levels. Any other thoughts on this? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this? Oh, yeah. Really good thoughts. Any other thoughts before we move on? All right. Um, so it's essential that the community farm live as a group. So I thought that was um I'll just read this. Bottom of page 125. The essential thing is that the community would be farming as a group and living as a group. Investment in the community farm would be investment in the farm of every member. Investment in the village, such as clean water supply, would be a benefit of every member. I really like this because I think, and there's just like this way that like people like kind of like have to care about like this thing that is helping them all survive. Because there's a way, I think there is an issue where like if you have like something that's owned by the community, if there's a way, if there's not like an incentive for people to care about that thing, then like that thing just kind of like dilapidates. Like um I watch these people who live in China, and like this is what they say as someone like who lives there. And so I don't know if I can like speak for all of, like Chinese culture, but like they're saying that like there's like this issue of like there's like all these like temples, for example, that like people, they're like communal, but like people don't necessarily like feel like they own them. And there's also like they had like this experience of like living in this like um like living in like where they lived, but like there was like a light bulb out in the elevator, so it was just dark. and it would be like super simple to actually change the light bulb, but like no one wanted to because it was like this like communal thing, so it was like no one's responsibility. And um not so there's like a way where it's like I think communal things have to like have this incentive for everyone to actually care to take care of it. And I think like this this being like, okay, this is all of our livelihoods and we're working together. I think that's like incentive, and I think it's also probably really beautiful to like be working with people where you're all working together in support of each other. I would imagine. I imagine that would be very profound, actually. So I do like that he stresses like you have to be in community together. Um, any thoughts on that? Like our house. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Clark and I live together. This is like an issue of community living where it's like I don't know, just like there's just like oh gosh, I feel really like there's like stuff everywhere, and it's like, well, it's not really ours to, because like we live in this house that's owned by someone else, and there's like a lot of their stuff there, and we're like and like I don't know, like the kitchen, and I'm trying to think of this without just being too TMI about like our personal lives, but this is an issue with like not just our house, but I think community houses in general, about like there's a lot of things that get left behind because it's like, well, it's no one's responsibility, and like people are annoyed by how messy things are, but like not enough to clean up everything. um so I would wonder how to like live in like a more functioning house. Like how do we like Yeah, I can see that. And then like I know this is like ridiculous. I'm thinking of my home. Like in our house, there's like things that we get done that to make it like functional. But I think we make our house like functional at the bare minimum, where it's like, okay, like we can't have dishes in the sink because that gets out of control, really fast. And then like I don't. Oh, taking the trash out, taking the other trash recycling. But there's a way where like there's a lot of other things that are like kind of dysfunctional that like I'd rather not live with, but it, no one hates it enough to actually fix it. And so I think there's like this temptation, kind of what I was talking about with these examples of uh, China, where it's like there's like this like bare minimum of functionality in certain community spaces, and so I wonder how to prevent that from not happening. Um, I don't know. Cause like yeah, I think it's really beautiful that like everyone's like living together and they're invested in this farm. So yeah. Oh, so that last part of it you just cut out for a few seconds. No, no, you're good. It was like you just cut out for the last few seconds. Like care. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. That's something that really bothers me too. Is like his focus on like you can't be lazy and like you got to work really 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 hard and like it sounds like in Tanzania they have a lot of work, so like I understand, but also like I don't think you should work more than you need to, and you're right, BP. Like people are like responding to like this capitalist like deficit where it's like people oftentimes like don't want to do things because they're like being attacked from all sides. There's like a number of reasons why people don't want to work, and it's not like it's not like they just suck and they're just lazy. Like people are like tired or something, or people don't want to invest themselves into jobs they don't find meaningful, or things like that. It's like yeah, that's always bothered me. Um, Clark, I you were saying something and then I like just started ranting about. Oh wait, Jeremy, did you have something to add? I'm sorry, I just cut Clark off. I felt kind of bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, Clark, I'm so sorry that I cut you off to just like rant about house stuff. Um, did you want to like did you have like you were definitely saying something and I wanted to get back to that. Oh, the stream? Let me I'm kind of curious. In the voice chat. It's unlisted, so it's you have yeah, you have to have the link now because I made it so it's unlisted. Oh, I didn't put the link. Oh, I see what's going on. I see. Dang it. I okay, so I have a YouTube post, but I didn't post the link on my YouTube thing. I yeah, but I posted the link on Twitter. So let me just fix that right now, really fast. How do I just get the link? Sorry, everybody. Okay. This, and then I have to go to YouTube. Oh my gosh, I'm like seeing myself be like, Arr. So I have to go to my channel and community and book club. All right, there we go. We did it. What? No way. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. I'm sorry. Can everyone just like say a bunch of stuff and I'm going to listen to the audio? Okay, I can't hear you guys, but say a bunch of stuff. I want to see what's like happening on this stream. Okay, wait. I'm sorry. Can everyone just like say a bunch of stuff and I'm going to listen to the audio? Okay. God damn it. Okay, I can't hear you guys, but say a bunch of stuff. Okay, I'm just going to end the stream.